Unmute. Hi everybody, Matt Geary for the Geek Pride cast on this Friday evening, a bit later than usual because we couldn't get anybody to come on, basically. So yeah, we just had to do with John Joe Crossgrove.
Hello.
And my brother, second time on the podcast, Michael Geary.
Hello.
When Michael first came online, he was using my father's podcast, and obviously my father's been dead for a couple of years, so I was a bit of a shock when my dad popped up on Skype. I'm like, Dad?
I actually thought I'd got logged in as my own one, and then it sort of popped up with all these contacts down the side, and I was like, I don't recognize these people. And then I just saw Dad's picture sitting up in the corner. I was like, oh dear.
Right, so how's everybody been? What have you been up to? John Joe, hitting you up first.
Oh, I think it's just been catch up on all the TV stuff. Getting through Jessica Jones season 2, which I liked. It wasn't the greatest, but it was fine. And also Tomb Raider, which I watched Wednesday night, and same again. It was all right. Not the greatest, but definitely one of the better video game films I've seen.
I've heard mixed things about Jessica Jones. Apparently, it's not as good as the first season. What would your sort of, kind of general views be on it?
No, it gets better. The first 4 or 5 episodes of season 2 are hard to watch, and I'd say not since Iron Fist there's been a Marvel show that I've really struggled to get into, and it's a shame because Jessica Jones was my favourite series. The first series was just brilliant, and it just feels like the second just couldn't recapture that spark. And like I said, it does get better. Without giving any spoilers away, once you get the main idea of the story, about 7 or 8 episodes in, it does become more enjoyable. But I just feel like it's a long time. It's a lot of commitment before you actually start enjoying a show, which is only 13 episodes long.
There's a new Luke Cage coming out soon as well, isn't there?
There is. That might be all right. I quite like Luke Cage, but that kind of had the opposite effect, though. The first 7 episodes of that were brilliant, and I think some of the best that Netflix has actually given out so far.
What?
But then after that,
really?
Well, you're telling me, Mahershala Ali's character Cottonmouth is not probably the best MCU villain. He was fantastic.
Really good. He was really good.
Spoiler alert, although this is a show from 2 years ago now, spoiler alert, he gets killed off in episode 7 in probably what I think is one of the best episodes. But after that, it's just like the rest of the series is just filler. It just feels like they just run out of ideas. Like, yeah, what can we do? Oh, let's throw a bit of Luke Cage history in. Let's do a bit of this. Let's do a bit of that. Oh, we've still got 6 episodes of material to make up. Oh, sod it. We'll just make it up as we go along. And that's what it felt like. It felt like they just run out of ideas.
Where they had, what's his name? Diamondback, was that the guy?
Diamondback.
Yeah. He was a good bad guy, but Luke Cage to me, and it's the same with Black Lightning. I just can't seem to get into Black Lightning. I watched it sort of in the background, but it's not really doing much for me. But Luke Cage, it was just sort of, it was like a blaxploitation sort of film. I think I talked to Dave Foy about this briefly, but you know, and it just didn't sort of grasp me. You know, maybe it's a cultural thing, I don't know, but it just, you know, I enjoyed it, but I didn't enjoy it as much as sort of like Daredevil or The Punisher. And the new Punisher is fucking amazing. And the first 2 series of Daredevil, especially with the one with the Punisher in it, is epic. You know, less to be said about Iron Fist.
Yeah, Iron Fist, I will say, had one really good episode, and that was the episode that reminded me of Enter the Dragon, like the whole, almost like a fighting tournament. I think it was episode 6 of the series. I thought that was really good, and not all the performances were bad in Iron Fist. Colleen Wing, who was played by Jessica Henwick, I think is an awesome actress, and who's the Australian fella, the one who plays the dad of is it Harold? That's it, Harold. He was actually quite good as well.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
To me, Iron Fist, it was a good idea, and it should have been. I think if they'd had that as one of the first series, it might have come out a bit better. It might have the evolution of it might have actually been a bit easier to have taken in, but because it was sort of like left to the last minute, they kind of went, "Oh yeah, we have got to make this now. Let's just rush this series out." And then it was just a few months after Defenders had come out as well, so they couldn't really do anything with the character. It'd already been pre-made, and it was basically, yeah, no one liked Iron Fist. He's now going to be front and center of our team up. Yeah, that's
well, we've got David Foy. Oh, we've got Daniel P. here back again, which we'll talk to him briefly, but in a minute. But we've got David Foy, not on the podcast, but commenting on Facebook. What's going on, David Foy? Huh? Not good enough for you on this Friday Eve? Huh. My brother's on the podcast. Had to replace you. Had to replace you with another beardy Northern Irishman.
Really scraping the bottom of the barrel there.
Daniel P says, "Hi guys, talking of Jessica Jones, all the episodes of this season have been directed by women. I do believe that, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I have not seen it yet, so I don't know. It's on my list. I enjoyed the first season. I think Kilgrave, was it Kilgrave? That's his name,
yes.
Kilgrave? Yeah, Kilgrave is an amazing bad guy. Just sort of, his concept of basically, just saying things and people doing what he says. Amazing, really good.
There is something about the Netflix series. Their villains are just great. I mean, Wilson Fisk, played by Vincent D'Onofrio, amazing. Fantastic character.
Yeah.
David Tennant as Kilgrave, just marvelous. Like I said, Mahershala Ali, when he played Cottonmouth, he was just great. And compared to the other two, obviously Mahershala Ali's character was a lot more. I think he was a lot more smarter. He was more intelligent. He had a lot more influence compared to the other two. Obviously, Kingpin is a very influential character, but he was very much in the background. He didn't want to be front and center of everything. Whereas Cottonmouth was the person who was like, "Yeah, you mess with me, you die, and I'm not afraid to let you see my face when I kill you." And that's why I liked his character so much. And then him being killed off just made me think, right, that's the biggest waste. Don't get me wrong, I didn't think he was going to survive the whole series. I thought maybe episode 11, episode 12, he might get killed off. But no, I think Netflix have pushed themselves a bit too far. I think they've gone like, okay, we can do whatever we want. We can do whatever we can. And I'm really hoping when Daredevil comes back, when Punisher season 2 comes back, that they will pick up the stride again that they had. And I don't know. It's made me doubt whether I want to see them come back together in the Defenders. I don't think after how the first one went, I can't see now that they could do a second one just after how disappointing maybe the first one was.
Yeah, I really wanted it to be better than it was, just because I've met Finn Jones a few times. He's a nice guy, and you just sort of kind of want good things, but I just couldn't. It was a struggle. I just felt like it was going to get somewhere, and it never really did. And I think he had, not him, I'm not sure if it's the writing maybe, but whatever happened in Defenders was just a bit sort of, I wasn't too sort of kind of impressed.
It did lack. But I will just say that with Iron Fist, the guy who produced that, Scott Buck, he also produced Inhumans, and I'm not saying anymore.
Yeah, I got canned pretty early on, didn't you? I watched a couple of episodes, just wasn't interested in that either. Dave Foy says, Mike can be the token other Northern Irish dude on the podcast today. And, joined us today, Neil Jackson, new guy to Geek Pride World, playing games with us last night, hence why Matt is super tired today. Because we were playing Descent till like 2:30 in the morning on a school day, and I'm shattered. And I'm kind of gutted because for some reason, when I get a third microphone, so we were trying to get everybody so they could all have microphones last night when we were recording. For some reason, when you get the third microphone, you just get loads of echo, and it was going in and out. So sometimes it would be fine, sometimes it wouldn't be, and I just couldn't figure out what was wrong with it. So Apologies to anybody if they're watching the streams or watching them back. That the audio is a bit echoey now and again. Just need to figure out what the score is.
Always technical problems whenever computers are involved.
Yeah, but it's like I did it beforehand and it was fine. Like I did a recording, fine. It's like sweet, we can carry on. And then for some reason, bam, it could have been. I'm not sure if maybe because the Facebook page was open, but it was muted, so I don't understand why it would have been that. So I don't know. But yeah, there you go. We're going to hopefully do that a bit more often if we can. Make use of the Geek and Sun table before I move house, hopefully soon. If somebody will bloody buy my house and not fucking take their offers back again. Got some lady who's interested in it at the minute. A couple who are interested at the minute. They've given me an offer which is 10 grand less than I want, so I've turned them down. So they're asking me lots of questions and things, and I'm like, blah, blah, blah. So we'll have to see. Yeah. Neil Jackson says, I just need to have a less echoey voice. Yes, you do, Neil. A less echoey voice.
No, I was watching some of you playing last night. Actually, I was just so envious of the setup that you've got in general. The Geek and Sun table and everything like that. I think the last time I played a game at home, not many people I sort of play games with back home, but my girlfriend actually surprised me.
You're lucky. You're lucky there because my girlfriend has zero interest in that shit. It's just literally horses, hair, and I getting her eyes and her fingernails done. Gaming is just
getting her eyes done.
It's just getting her eyes done, getting her eyelashes done.
She can Moya can be as addictive, sort of when it comes to games and things like that. Say for the likes of whenever the Pokemon Go came out. I'm pretty sure Moya took a day off to just play that game. And I remember I'd gone out of work at lunchtime and was just coming back into work. And the next thing I saw her driving past, phone in hand with a big grin on her face because she was chasing down some fucking Pokemon around near where I worked or something like that. But no, she is quite lucky because she doesn't play them all the time, but she does actually get quite into them and enjoys them whenever we're playing. So we play, I love playing Talisman, and you've got me all the extensions and everything for Christmas bar one, which came in German.
Yeah.
We're still really tempted to play it, just to sort of try and read try and read these cards in German or something like that, which I think would be quite funny. But
the annoying thing about Talisman is because they're not in bed with Fantasy Flight anymore, the other expansions haven't been released yet, so you've basically got the first 3 or 4, and then there's another 4 to come out, but they're nowhere to be seen at this moment in time. So getting the other ones, I was trying to find them, and you can get them for 300 quid or something like that, and I'm just like, fucking hell. But yeah, they're gold dust at the minute, so
yeah, it's just, we've played that game since we were kids, but it's just one of those games that for me has just been, I've just loved it, and I know it is really a really luck based game and everything like that. And just to note, the last couple of times we played it, I've won.
Yeah.
I won at Christmas. I kicked ass, and then last time I played Moya, I won. I
don't think I've won Talisman in a long time. I just sort of get fucked over and lose my shit. The funniest one, I think, the funniest one was basically when it was you, myself, Alana, and Moya, and Moya had a card that checked the deck, and she knew there was a dragon coming up, and she knew there was a sacrifice fucking pole thing, and basically she encouraged her daughter to pick up this card, which meant she got automatically killed and lost everything.
And I think by that point in the game, Alana was actually, it was sort of between you and Alana as to who was going to win, but Alana had a lot of stuff. And she wasn't a happy bunny. She hates that game now. I keep on saying to her about playing it, she's like, no.
No, not at all. Oh man, I've got so many games. I've got loads coming up as well. I've got to play the Twilight Imperium I want to play. I've got a new game, Heroes, Lords of Hellas. It's coming on. I've got expansions coming up for that as well. I've got my huge. It's like medieval. It's like medieval Total War, but a board game. It's fucking massive. It's coming at some point. What else have I got? Das Boot, the game. So it's like a submarine type game, World War II, which looks quite interesting.
Oh, cool.
And Another one's basically just gifting myself things and Kickstarters, so I forget about them, and then in 4 months' time or 5 months' time, I something turns up to my door, and I'm like, what's this? I'm like, oh, it's a gift from my past self. Yeah.
I think I spend a lot of time. I mean, I don't have loads of games, but like I'm really picky about the ones that I do try and get. And I think ever since playing the likes of Resistance and stuff like that, I just look for games where it's literally builds that sort of atmosphere where you're almost going to end up hating all your friends by the end of it. It's just it just makes it so much more enjoyable. I mean, Resistance, I think, was absolutely one of the most hilarious games I've ever played. To the point, you're like, I think me and Emma have had arguments and things like that before, and there was a friend of mine we bumped into last week, and we started telling him about Resistance. And I think I mentioned this to you before. He's said about was it Hidden Hitler or something like that?
Hidden Hitler,
and it's pretty much the same. It's the same premise of the game and everything like that, but just a little sort of different twist on it. So I'll probably be looking into getting something like that, and Coup as well. I think same sort of along the same sort of line.
Like I had no real interest in sort of card games and stuff. Like, it was only because Mike Orvis, we were down in London visiting Phil Matthews, and I think Erin, our American correspondent, though she hasn't corresponded very much for us recently, but she was over, and he brought it out, and I was like, well, there's a lot of people here, I'll give it a whirl, and I just got instantly hooked. I went, this is amazing, this is such a good game. And literally every time I got people around, I just bring it, because I'm just like, this is hilarious, we need to play this. I brought it on the stag do with me, and nobody would play with me. I was like, there's 11 of us, it'll be amazing, and they wouldn't do it. And I was just like, boo.
Yeah, I think we've sort of got together a group of people after speaking to a friend last week. Number of couples who are kind of interested in sort of having games nights and things like that. So hopefully we'll get something going soon. Maybe, I don't know if you could try and stream it or record it or something like that. I think it's quite funny.
Do you not have many games clubs in Belfast then?
I'm sure there are. Like there was one that I noticed recently. It is in behind where the venue used to be. I think it's called Night's Move.
Oh, okay.
Night's Move. Yeah, and I literally just saw it by pure chance pretty recently. But it's name's popped up in a few places. I mean, I thought the Games Workshop had closed down, and there's not really a lot of things like that in Belfast at all. I mean, there's definitely like a real sort of narrow market for, at least as far as I know.
Is the dungeon still there? Is the dungeon still there?
I think it's not called the dungeon anymore, and it's about half the size that it used to be. But I have a funny feeling it's actually closed, like within the past couple of months or something. Because I have been in it, and it doesn't have as much stuff as it used to. Mind you, there's a brilliant. I can't remember the name of it. It's in the Smithfield Market, just across from where the dungeon is. There's a model shop in there, and it's fantastic. I mean, it's got loads of stuff. I mean, anything. It's even got some like old school like Star Wars toys and things like that. Boxes and everything like that. They're sitting there for like 150 quid for like an original Millennium Falcon or something like that, and all these wee bits and pieces. But it's got like massive selection of like. The models and things that we used to make. I always sort of go in and get them every now and again.
Talking about Star Wars, I can see your TIE fighter at the back there. Do you want to show it?
I don't know if you can. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this or not. It's not much.
Wow.
50 quid. 50 quid. You got me one as well. I was like, buy me one.
Yeah, that was again. That was Moya's spot. We were in. It's called the Entertainer. And we were just having a look about, and there was a big TIE fighter, or a big, TIE fighter boxes sitting there. And I was like, oh, they look pretty awesome. I wouldn't mind one of them. And then next thing, Moya pointed out the price, and I was like, that can't be right. They were going for the original price was something like 160 quid, and down to 50. So there was 3 left, and I was almost tempted to buy all 3 of them just because it would have been cheaper buying. We got 3 for cheaper than buying 1.
Yeah.
So I just have to send you your one on. Although it is really annoying me because I've not been able to actually put the pilot into it yet. It's very, very fiddly to try and get him in. I just sort of gave up on it.
That's what she said. Yeah, all right, cool. Let's see what we got here. Josh Varney says Star Wars sale on at Toys R Us, apparently too soon. I feel very bad. I went in there and I just I was like buying sort of cheap Star Wars toys, and then, you know, people are kind of getting upset because they lost their jobs, and I was feeling like a proper dickhead, and I was just like, I'm really sorry. Sort of asked them if they're okay and things like that, but I was just like, I'm just here for the Star Wars toys. Yeah. Bad times.
No, but I mean, at the same time, he's like, you know, people will get other jobs and things like that, you know, so you may as well take advantage of the low prices while they're there.
Yep. Has anybody, just on a completely random note, just because it popped in my head, has anybody seen the new Pacific Rim yet?
No, I think it's only just come out today, isn't it?
Is it today? Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of want to see it because I know it's not going to be amazing. But I kind of want to see it just because I really enjoyed the first one. It was just sort of over the top and a bit of fun, I think. So
the first one was actually on the TV the other night. I was watching probably about from about quarter way in, and it is like you said, it's. You know, there's nothing fantastic about it or anything like that, but it is just one of those things that you can just sit, turn off, and just sit and watch it. You know, it's just big, massive robots beating the crap out of big, massive monsters. Like, you know, I think the acting to some degree in it is awful, but, you know, you sort of tolerate it and everything like that.
You don't watch it for the acting, you watch it for the giant robots fighting monsters. That's it.
Well, Josh says...
Godzilla.
Josh says on Facebook it's mediocre, which is slightly disappointing. So we'll see. Well, we'll watch it. You know, do you remember Robot Jox? Do you remember the film Robot Jox?
Oh,
it was basically mechs, and they like fought the German guy something at the end and stuff, and they had those like
I'm gonna have to Google that.
The arenas. They had the arenas and stuff, and it was like there's like a scene in it where they're climbing up this like climbing frame thing where they like falls down and they get hurt and things.
Oh yeah. I remember watching that when we were kids. But as you mentioned, Arena. Do you remember Arena?
No.
You don't remember Arena? Let's see if I can find something here on it. You will. It was like futuristic boxing.
Boxing?
Yeah, we watched it when we were kids. I guarantee you'll remember it.
There was a lot of stuff we watched as kids we probably shouldn't have watched, but you know.
Yeah, funny story. Well, as the fact we talked about kids, not watching things or sort of doing things at for a certain age. I was playing PUBG. I actually wasn't even playing it. I was on the computer. I think I was maybe playing you in Age of Empires or something like that, or maybe practicing Age of Empires for our decider. But Moya had her son Mason round. And usually I'd put the Xbox on for him and just let him sit and play away. And now Moya gets into if I'm sitting playing this game, Moya gets into it more than I do. Like Moya will be sitting, I'll be sitting playing away, and Moya's like, oh, there's a guy over there, and she starts whispering, as if they can hear her or something like that, and then she starts getting down, sort of on the sofa and like sneaking about and everything. Like she really gets into it. If people start shooting at me, she starts shouting at the TV and everything. It's really, really funny. But so yeah, I was up on the computer just playing Age of Empires, and her and Mason were downstairs, and Mason was playing PUBG. Now Mason's 8 years old, so probably shouldn't be playing this game in the first place. But he doesn't really, get the whole idea behind it. He just, he's a guy. He gets to run about. He can pick up guns, and he sort of goes about and he'll shoot at the ground, or he'll go for a swim in the water and stuff like this, And you know what it's like if you're sitting watching somebody play a game and they're not playing it properly, and you're just sitting there thinking, "Give me that controller so I can do something," or just go and do what you're supposed to be doing.
The worst thing ever is watching somebody play something badly, and you're just like, "Can we do something better than that?"
So, pretty much what happened was, like I said, up playing the computer, and I could hear them downstairs. And next thing, I just heard Mason and Moya screaming, like Moya sort of like, "Turn left, shoot him, shoot him, shoot him!" Turn left, and all this. and they started celebrating, like yay, and then I just heard Moya laughing. And if you've ever heard Moya laugh, she's got a proper cackle. It's like if you get her laughing, it'll start everybody else laughing because it's one of a kind. Next thing, she comes up the stairs and she was crying with laughter, and I was like, I'm kind of guessing Mason's got his first kill. And she's like, yeah, he got his first kill. But pretty much what happened was, so Mason was sitting in a house with a gun, and next thing, some guy comes running in without anything, didn't even have a frying pan, and just started punching Mason. And Mason sort of turns around and tries shooting him. I was doing that whole thing where you're like shooting all around everywhere, and it's at point blank range and not actually hitting the person. And Moya started shouting, aim to the left, ends up killing the guy. And they all started celebrating, and Moya turned around and said to Mason, I almost pooed myself. And then Mason turned around to Moya and said, I did poo myself. It's the last thing I was expecting to come up. He just got so excited and so nervous about the game, he just sort of let it slip a wee bit. Nothing major, but
that's amazing. Wow. Wow.
Sorry, Mason, and you get embarrassed whenever you're older, but it was very, very funny.
We've got Lisa Murray says, I totally forgot you were Irish. Well, yes. Yeah, we are. 2 Irishmen on your TV screen at this moment in time, or your computer screen even. We've got Neil Jackson says, my 8-year-old caught me playing GTA 5, so I ended up driving around safely and going to the shops. She now plays my dressing up simulator. That's amazing. That's amazing.
I'm sure when the what was it, 5? I remember playing that when I was about 13 or 14, and like I had a lot of friends that never really played violent video games until they actually came of age of it. So used to describe this game, and they go, "Oh, so what do you do in Grand Theft Auto?" I go, "Oh, you just drive around. You do some jobs for people." I said, "You kill people?" They go, "What?" I said, "Yeah, you kill people." And it's like, so that's a bit dark, eh? I went, "Yeah, it's not like I'm killing anyone for real." And I think that was about the time all the Manhunter stuff started coming out, all the things
I
quite liked that game. I quite liked it when you could kill him with the plastic bag.
God, that was grim, man.
And I haven't gone on to kill anybody with a plastic bag yet. So
it sounds like this is the talk now. Yes, I have not done that. I do not condone but I don't understand why, because this is from the same company as well, it's from Rockstar as well. And I ever wonder, could they ever make a toned down game that would be? I mean, you got Red Dead Redemption, you've got Bully as well. I think Bully is their most tame game, and that's still quite bad.
Bully, right, yeah. I do.
When you have to build up your reputation.
Yeah.
I'm
just watching this video. Oh shit! Yes, I do remember that film. Oh my god! Yeah. Oh, no way!
I've just sent Matthew the link for Arena. If you look up Arena 1989, was it?
Oh, fucking hell, man. No way. Is that Dolph Lundgren?
I don't know. I don't think it is.
No, it's not. It's not, actually. Holy shit, man. That's just like a major nostalgia trip. I've completely forgot about that. I'm actually going to have to see if I can find that somewhere and have a watch of it or something now. Yeah. Some of the old school films, man.
I've just looked it up. This film does look familiar. In such a bad way, this film looks familiar.
Dave Foyle, no, because he's into his cheesy sort of 80s films and horror and stuff like that.
Yes, no, I do recognise Arena because it's got Claudia Christian, who was in Babylon 5. Yeah, I do remember this now.
Yeah, I just saw the guys like, wow, fucking hell, yeah, I do remember that now. Yeah. Back in the day when we were into our fighting films and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's something about like they've got 2 lights above them, like a red and a blue one. It's called like the handicapper or something like that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's it. It's sort of I remember that now. Yeah.
No, I was watching real. Well, it's not really sort of old and cheesy, but it's still like a good film. Outsiders. I haven't seen in years. You know,
Yeah.
Stay Golden, Pony Boy. I haven't seen that in years, and it was just it was it was weird. Like there's so many big names and everything in it, with sort of smaller parts and everything. But it kind of disappointed me in as well because it's not what I remembered it.
Why?
Uh,
In what way?
I don't know, right? So I was using it on Showbox, but it wasn't a very good sort of version of it. So for some reason, the music the whole way through it seemed far more prominent than the actual dialogue.
Right.
So it could just be I don't remember it being like that, but I remember it being particularly sad. And was actually whenever I put it on, I was sort of thinking I don't know if I want to watch this because it probably may end up making me cry. But I just remember in the bits that I was expecting to be sad, they weren't, but it was more because the music was just sort of overtaking everything like that. I was like, I'm not too sure if the music had changed or something like that, but there's certain parts in it which are sort of quite dramatic and everything like that, and the music almost didn't seem fitting. But I mean, it was still good, but it's just a wee bit different from what I remember it as a kid, because I don't think I watched that since, before I was maybe like
It's sort of remember them.
12 years old or something like that,
Didn't they kill somebody or something, and then they're in that they have to go to like this barn? And then it's Karate Kid? What's his name? Who's the guy who plays Karate Kids?
Ralph Macchio.
Yeah,
Ralph,
Ralph.
yeah. He's only in like 3 films. He's in like My Cousin Vinny, Outsiders, and Karate Kids. That's sort of kind of the only things I can remember him from. Name me another film. Name me another film that he's in.
What, Ralph Macchio?
Yeah.
Oh, this is going to be tough. I can't think of film, but he was in. I remember he was in Ugly Betty for a little while.
Was he?
Yeah, he was on that for about half a series, I think.
Oh, okay.
He was in some other series as well, I think. Was he not?
Is that Nanook?
Yeah, I don't know. I think a car is.
He was in How I Met Your Mother because he played himself in that.
Yeah, but was there not something else? Was it? Was he in the Entourage or something like that as well?
Yeah,
he plays himself.
Yeah, I think he was.
They got
in Entourage.
that sort of segues on to obviously the new Cobra Kai. The Cobra Kai thing that does look rather. It's either going to be one of 3 things. It's going to be super shit. It's going to be bad, so bad that it's good, or it's going to be epic. It's going to be amazing. So,
I think the first.
I know.
Do you know what? I loved The Karate Kid when I was younger. That was one of the films that I remember watching. I got instantly amazed by it. And then it wasn't until I was about 20, 21 that I watched the sequels, and you just see how bad them sequels are. It was just cashing in on that little idea. And then there was the one with Hilary Swank in it as well, which was even worse.
Awful. But whenever they tried to remake Karate Kid, did you ever see with the newest Karate Kid with
Jackie Chan and Jaden Smith?
Yeah. Oh,
did you ever see the? It was pretty much around the time that was being released, and Ralph Macchio, he's always had this sort of stigma as being like a real nice guy and everything like that, from what I've heard. So it's got like this video of him sort of trying to sort of go around and be a bad guy, or sort of being a wee bit badass. So he's like he pulls up in the car, and there's a hooker stand at the side of the road or something like that, and he pulls up, and he's like, she's sort of asking, well, what do you want to do? And he's like, maybe can we cuddle or something? All this, but it's got him. Was it, what's Will Smith's son called?
Jaden Smith.
And it's got him doing like the high kick. And it's got Ralph Macchio trying to match it. He's sort of like trying to lift his leg up that high, and he can barely lift it off the ground. He's trying to kick this tree or something like that. It's quite. I can't remember the name of the video, but it is about him sort of trying to sort of re-image himself, and it's just not working at all.
The prostitute thing reminds me of the episode of Family Guy where the guy's driving past and there's a moose at the side of the road, and it says, "We'll do moose stuff for money," and he says, "What do you mean?" It's like, well, I can I can have sex with you, or I can stand over there and drink some water by a brook, and everything in between. And he's like, get in.
Get in.
Get in.
I miss when that show was brilliant. I still watch Family Guy. I still can watch some of the new episodes, but it's kind of gone like The Simpsons now. There is more mediocre episodes being made than there are good episodes.
I'm quite enjoying The Orville. I've watched all of the first series and stuff. Quite enjoying The Orville. Very old school. And it's sort of kind of like it's kind of like Star Trek Next Generation, but with a little bit more comedy in it. It's not overbearing though, so you get a bit of seriousness. But yeah, I quite like the mix. It's quite good. You know, you can kind of take it more seriously in a way because of the comedy. It's it's a bit of a weird one, but yeah, quite enjoying that.
I think it looks a bit like where the 60s Star Trek. When you watch it today, it does almost feel like they were taking the piss. And if you look back, I think one of my favourite examples is Batman from the 1960s. People took that show very seriously back then, and then you look at it now, you're like, how could you take it seriously? It's just a massive joke. Everyone's in on the joke, but it's just they play it so straight, and that's what Star Trek to me looks like when I watch the original series.
Yeah, I actually couldn't agree more with the Batman thing, because I know before we used to go out, for a couple of drinks with friends and things like that. There was, we sort of all get together at somebody's house and we'd watch certain clips of certain things, So there was like Darth Vader being a jackass and, stupid things like that. But there was a couple of Batman references, one of them was Batman fighting a shark. And
shark repellent.
Yeah, give me the shark repellent.
But then there's also one where it's like is he on the helicopter or something like that, and it's on the ladder and it's hanging down and it's bit onto him and it's just this big stuffed animal or something like that, and it just looks so bad. And then there's another one where, and I actually, even for that sort of time, I actually thought they were sort of trying to take the piss because of the comment that he makes at the very end. So he's got like a one of those bombs, black bomb with the fuse on it, and it's fizzing down, and he's just trying to get rid of it.
Yeah, so there's just some days you can't get rid of a bomb.
Exactly.
And he's just running down the pier with it. Yeah, so
and then he goes to throw it into the water, and there's a whole load of ducks sitting there, and he's like runs away, and then he goes to throw it somewhere else, and there's a whole load of nuns, and there's like some days you just can't get rid of a bomb. That was probably a bit more Captain Kirk than Batman, but
But the thing is, that's what I'm saying, they're both the same.
Dave Foy is just chipped in on the. Dave, why don't you just join us? Why don't you just come online, get off your arse? It's a Friday night, and talk to us, eh? But he says the Karate Kid remake was a joke. Should have been called the Kung Fu Kid, as it was set in China rather than Japan, and Jackie Chan teaches him Kung Fu! Exclamation points!
That's only made about a quarter of the money.
Dave, well, we'll ask you this then. Do you remember a film, an 80s film called Arena? Because Michael just sent me a link to it, and it's just like, wow, yeah, well, I remember that one.
I'll send it on my link here as well.
Or Robot Jocks. Robot Jocks is the other good one.
I completely forgot all about Robot Jocks.
Do you remember Deathstalker?
Yeah.
I think we quite like Deathstalker. Obviously, as two young boys, there was a lot of boobies in it, and so it was sort of like, yeah, can we have this for the barbarian parts, not for the boobies? But yeah, there you go.
I think they did a. Was there a Beastmaster as well?
Yeah, Beastmaster, and he had like polecats and things like that, or ferrets.
Or something like
yeah, and a tiger. He had a tiger, I think. Or did he have a tiger? Yeah, I think he had a tiger.
It's that's the thing. Like, see, these days, if you ever not that you ever do, there's obviously Extravision and Blockbuster. That I actually kind of miss. If you used to be able to go in, or you used to go into Extravision or Blockbuster to get a video or something like that, and you would. Whenever you were our age, you literally you were sold by whatever was on the cover. So if you saw like explosions and ninjas and things on the front, can we get this? And it was usually like American Ninja or something like that. I don't know how many of them are there, like 14 or something.
Three Ninja Kids.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, man, love that shit. Yeah, but it's just I can't. Yeah, you're right. I kind of miss that. You don't get that sort of same. you don't get that same sort of vibe. Because I remember, like, as us as kids, like, we used to have like a movie night where Dad would just get an Arnie film, or we'd get some like Barbarian film or something, and we'd get Haagen-Dazs, strawberry Haagen-Dazs ice cream and stuff, all from Extravision, and we'd all sit there and watch these films. And you don't really get that anymore because obviously there's too much choice and everybody's seen it and everybody's got iPads and things like that. So it is a bit of a shame.
Do you remember Lucky 7?
Yes, yes. Oh shit! I was thinking about that the other day. I remember like down like sort of like me, you, and Dave Lawson and stuff, sort of running around, and we'd all like chosen who we were. I think I was like the guy with the nunchucks. Just like if we ever played Turtles.
I'm actually just watching the intro of it here because it's if you YouTube Lucky 7 1986 full film, and it's got like obviously it's introducing them all straight from the very very start, and it's got like a wee ninja, it's got some guys parachuted in, it's got some kid in a unicycle. I think theirs was, I can't remember, but yeah.
Was there one in yellow? Is there one in yellow or something? I've got this sort of picture of one in yellow.
Yeah, he was Rocky or something like that, I think, isn't it? No, he was like a miniature Bruce Lee.
All right. But yeah, there you go. Old school films. Gotta love them. Like, thing is, I don't think my parents weren't overly sort of kind of bothered about the age limit when it came to films. I could only remember once sitting there watching a film, and then some woman starts getting banged up against the wall, and Dad's like, "Out! Get out!" And we like scamper out and then run round the side of the house and start looking through the curtains and stuff.
I actually remember when we were, I think, maybe a little bit older, and something similar happened, and we were sort of sitting watching, and Dad actually sort of sat there and let us feel really, really awkward.
Yeah,
we were just sort of like, I don't really know how to react to this. So just ended up leaving on our own accord.
Amazing. There you go. What boys will do for a bit of boob.
Yeah. But I mean, like, I don't know how sort of enforced it is these days. You know, I mean, I know Moya with Mason would maybe, like, we would sort of say, yeah, there's certain things that you can't watch and everything like that. But, you know, it's, I don't know. I don't know if I would, pretty much if they didn't want to watch it, I wouldn't make them or anything like that if they were scared of it, you know. I mean, if you think about it, Matthew, you used to be scared of the Thriller video.
Yeah, I used to hate that video. It just freaked me out. I couldn't watch anything. Do you know what it was? Do you know what I think it was? Because I used to have sort of like, I remember being babysat and getting shown Hellraiser videos, and like I have this lasting memory of, like, you know that bit in Hellraiser where the guy's on fire and he's walking down the stairs, and that's just like embossed in my brain, and I would have been about 4 or 5 years old, so it's just, you know, and I think shit like that just made me kind of go, I'm just not watching. I actually remember getting taken to like a ghost train or something. I can't remember where it was, in England somewhere, and going in one end and putting my hands on my eyes and not opening them. I know I did. I opened them, I saw a dragon, put them back again, and that was it. That was the whole ride. I just didn't see anything. You know. Yeah. Pussy!
You wonder what sort of age you get, you know, that people stop being afraid of things like that, you know? I mean, I can't really remember, you know, I used to be afraid of water, you know, like if you're standing beside a boat or something like that, because I couldn't really swim that well. All these irrational fears that you have whenever you're a kid, and some people still have like really ridiculous irrational fears, like fears of oranges or something stupid.
Yeah, Louise has like her and her daughter and her son don't like spiders, but it's like if there's a spider, it's like this huge, massive sort of like scream and oh my god, I can't do it. And I think partially Lily learns it from Louise. Like, Louise is shit scared of them, like, but I think Lily doesn't know any different and just sees her mum being scared and gets scared as well. And like, I'm trying to instill like they're not that bad, so I picked them up, you know, and I'm like, it's not that bad, but yeah, it won't go near them.
That actually reminds me of a meme that I saw today. It was is like how she described it, and it's a picture of like this big, massive, horrible looking spider with the predator's face.
Oh yeah.
And then what it really looked like, and it's got that that little cute spider with the big eyes, and it looks all fluffy and everything.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw a video of a half clown, half spider, eating a child today.
Oh, well, from It.
Yeah, I think so. It's just yeah, that was pretty grim looking. I was like, that's definitely. Do you remember Clown House? Do you remember the film Clown House? Do you remember the bit where he's like, fucking hell, I just remembered that. The bit where it's like, obviously, he starts doing this, and then he breaks the guy's neck, and he's just like, fucking hell, I don't like clowns anymore.
But if you think about it, clowns are kind of creepy. I mean, like, the circus people and stuff like that, so that you turn up, and these people are, guys are being paid to sort of dress up in, clown outfits and everything like that. And there's just something weird there in general. It's just.
Moya's joined us. Hey, Geekazoids. Moya is Michael's other half. We've just been talking about you, Moya.
She's been able to hear me because she's literally next door.
Apparently, you nearly pooed yourself, Moya.
I'm just waiting to hear the cackle because like that laugh went on for ages.
Amazing. Right, okay. So John Joe. Oh no, we got a comment from Neil Jackson here.
Oh, I've just seen that.
My worst irrational fear. We used to go to Central Parks or Center Parks as kids. In the main pool, there were some bars over where the waves came from. I was utterly convinced there were sharks in there and wouldn't go release. Dude, I was exactly the same. Remember, like the Shankill the Shankill pool with the wave machine? They had those fucking bars, and I remember somebody telling me it's like that's where they keep the sharks, and they let them out sometimes. And I was shit scared. I would not go near them. So yeah, it was just. I actually have that
noise.
Monk. I have this thing now where it's not as bad, obviously, since I've learned how to do scuba diving. But I hate swimming where I can't see the bottom because I have this feeling like I'm just going to look down and then there'll be two black eyes and this big thing of teeth coming up towards me and stuff. So yeah, it's like panicking. Couldn't think of anything worse.
I think it's one of those things. It's sort of built into your head because it's an irrational fear. What you don't know is you'll make it up, so it's worse in your own mind, sort of thing. But I was the same. It was once I started, because I was never a very good swimmer, and then once I sort of got away traveling and did scuba diving and stuff like that, I was like, me and you had that challenge in the middle of a lake in Greece. We were in a boat, and you were like, dare you to jump off, and I was like, okay, and then you were like, shit, now I have to do it as well. And as soon as you jumped into the water, I started going, shark.
That's the worst thing you can do. We did that when we were in Zimbabwe, and I can't. What was his name? Second row when I played rugby. Blonde-haired fella, tall.
Michael something.
Yeah, I can't remember his name. But
I can't remember his name.
We were down the Zambezi whitewater rafting, which was fucking amazing. But there's crocodiles in that water, yeah. And I just remember, I just fucking remember us getting thrown out or him jumping out, and then somebody just going crocodile, and he shit himself. Thing is, there was crocodiles there, but it was just like he was freaking out, man. It was just hilarious.
I've just heard Moya giggling in the background. She's obviously just heard her caught up on the point where you've said that she's pooped herself.
Dave Foy says, my granddad worked in the Shankill Leisure Centre. That wave machine was class. It was, but like I said, there was obviously sharks behind the bars because that's no other thing would make the waves. That's what they use, sharks' tails to make the waves. Yeah. Oh, Alan Feely's joined us.
Fallon.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, sorry. Lots of reminiscing going on here, John Joe. Yeah. So tell us about your picture there. Go on. Tell us about your picture on the Skype.
Oh, yes. Well, from a couple of years ago, this was my image with Mr. Napoleon Dynamite himself, John Heder. and quite a nice chap he was actually as well.
Who? All right, give us a list of everybody you've met.
Oh God, be here for bloody hours. I went through that.
Go on, all the main ones then.
Yeah. Oh, you just love the Gillian Anderson one though, don't you?
Yeah.
When a few years ago, I wanted to get Gillian Anderson's autograph from my dad. It wasn't even for me; it was from Dad. And there's some of these celebrities, when you see them, they say, "Oh, you can take photos with them when you're getting your autograph." Some of them they say, "Oh, you can take photos, but you can't have posed photographs." And that's the rule I follow. And who am I to go against the rules? So I thought, as I'm waiting in line, it didn't say anything. So I thought I'll just take a couple of pictures because anyone could just sign a bit of paper saying, "Oh, it's come from Gillian Anderson." It's like, really? And I thought, just to prove that I've seen her. And she looked up, and it was like the whole place just turned red. It was like blood red vision all over. It was like, and she just went to me. She went, "You don't stop taking photos, I'm not going to do your autograph." It's like, shit, are you joking me? I've just paid 45 quid for the privilege of getting your name put on a piece of paper, and you're now telling me you're not going to do it? Yeah, you could. Yeah, it's not going to happen. No way.
So did you walk off?
I was so tempted, but I thought I've already given them my money, so I can't just go wait there. I was like,
if only I hadn't paid 45 quid, woman, I'd be walking away right now.
But Joe, I went up to her, and it's like she didn't even like look me in the face or anything. And I just said, "I'm really sorry." I said, "I'm getting this for someone who's a big fan of yours, and I just wanted to prove that I have met you." I said, "I'm sorry that's such a problem."
And what did she say?
She didn't say a word. She just literally signed it, handed it off, and each person is then guided off. As I was going off, I was like, "Yeah, thank you for your time, bitch."
I think the thing is, I think you've got this sort of. I think some of them feel like it's an invasion of privacy, but why do you go
to it then?
Exactly, that's it though, isn't it? It's sort of, I think they feel like the fans are an annoyance, and I can understand if you've got a lot of people in your grill all the time, they want to, you could be going out somewhere and you just get hounded. So I can see how it can be annoying. But if you're at a convention, exactly. If you're at a convention where you've intentionally gone there to make some money, obviously, and sign some autographs and stuff, then I don't see why it should be a chore or an annoyance. And it annoys me. That's one of the reasons I don't tend to go and get signatures, because it's just, I just don't think it should be something you should do, especially really expensive ones like Sigourney Weaver was like 95 quid or something like that.
Yeah, but I look at it as I want to see people that interest me, and at LFCC last year, they obviously had Benedict Cumberbatch, and don't get me wrong, I like Benedict Cumberbatch, but they also had Benedict Wong, who plays Wong in Doctor Strange, and he's also in loads of other stuff. A great British actor, and I was more interested in meeting him. It's horrible that you think someone who I think's got quite a good following in the UK. I went over to get his autograph, and there was no one there at all. You look at Benedict Cumberbatch, his line was like going like about a good 100, 200 deep, like before it even turned like 9:10 in the morning. And it's quite sad. And I go to see people that I like, people that interest me, and I'm glad that pretty much everyone that I've wanted to meet, I have, and I've enjoyed it. I think the only one that obviously couldn't really do anything about it was Adam West, because he was supposed to have been at Comic-Con last year, and he sadly passed away just a couple of months beforehand.
Oh, inconvenient. Hey?
I know. But Joe, I bought the Platinum Pass as well, because I was like, I really want to meet this guy. I want to make the most out of it. I'm going to get his autographs. I'm going to get a photo with him. I'm going to go to his talks. I want a photo in the Batmobile. That's what I want. A picture of me in the Batmobile with Mr. Batman himself, Adam West. That's all I would have wanted. And it was one of the things that sadly it was never meant to be.
Shame. Losing a lot of greats at the minute.
Good. Just slightly going from one thing to another now. I'm sure you've probably seen it. I've probably watched it about half a dozen times already. The trailer for Avengers Infinity War, probably my most anticipated film this year.
Who do you think's going to die? Go on then. Who do you think you're
I've got two in mind. My first, probably the trailer's probably playing it to make it look like it's going to happen. My first is Captain America, because come on, you go up against one of the most powerful beings in the world. I don't think Captain America is going to survive. That's my first one, and then my second one, I honestly believe, probably not in this one, but I reckon Iron Man's going to be Tony Stark's going to get killed off, either in Infinity War or in Avengers 4.
I don't know if he'll get killed. He might sort of get badly injured to the point where he says, I need to give this up, and then move the mantle on.
He did kind of give it up already in Iron Man 3, and then all of a sudden he's back with no explanation. It's like, yeah, I'm Iron Man again. What happened to the whole, I don't need this life? It's like, yeah, fuck it. I've got more money. I'll keep doing it. Sweet.
Mm-hmm.
But then Hawkeye wasn't hasn't been in the videos and stuff, has he?
Yeah, he's not in the posters or anything like that. I was actually pretty good about that. I know Hawkeye gets a bit of a bad rap, but I think in was it Age of Ultron?
Yeah,
they really they concentrated on him quite a lot. Made him quite a likable character, whereas he's kind of always in the background in the other films.
Yeah.
Mm.
But again, with Age of Ultron, they kind of set that up where you thought Hawkeye was going to die at one point. Well, at least I thought that, and I thought they did it quite clever. Where
Silver.
Yeah, I thought it was well done. So they might do something like that again.
Mm. Don't know if you ever watched them, but on YouTube you got a channel called Screen Junkies, and they do an honest film trailer every week. And one of them they did was for Avengers: Age of Ultron. They do a whole thing with Hawkeye, and they go, be prepared to see your least favorite Avenger become your third or fourth least favorite Avenger. Hawkeye, we like you now. Stuff like that. It's just, but the thing is, it's kind of like, actually, I actually go with that. I didn't really think of him too much in Avengers, but then I think that's because for most of the film he is an antagonist, and then I don't know. I think it's just because he isn't a superpowered being, but he's not like Iron Man, who is a superpowered being. Iron Man is front and center, but he's got all the technology. He's got he knows everything. He knows how to basically make himself hero. Whereas Hawkeye's kind of like, yeah, I just have a bow and arrow, and I just hope for the best.
Yeah, they sort of gave him like the sort of nice guy persona, whereas like Tony Stark, he's got this, he's arrogant and sarcastic and everything like that, which is kind of why people like him, because because that's what he's like. He's a fun character to like. Whereas, as you said, like Hawkeye, he didn't really do much in the sort of previous ones, to sort of make you like him. But then Age of Ultron, you sort of like him because he's obviously got the family and everything like that, and he's the one who's trying, despite not really having power or not having powers or anything like that, he's doing his best and trying to sort of make the best of a bad situation and everything like that, which makes him kind of likable. Even in the sort of at the darkest hour and everything like that, he's still got a positive outlook on it, which kind of makes him, well, for me, that's what I sort of thought made him a bit more likable.
I think it's because as well, in the MCU, you see a lot of these characters, they're very isolated characters. They like their own space. Like Iron Man, even though he's got Pepper Potts, he's very much into his own world. Hulk obviously keeps himself separated. Captain America prefers being alone, and all these characters, because you see their lives and you see that they're very lonely people. They like having that space to themselves. When you see Hawkeye and you see he's got this family, he's got kids, and I don't know, it does open up a bit more, but it's almost like the MCU's just gone, yeah, Hawkeye's got all this, he's got a family unlike any of the others, but hey, sod that, let's just go back to the other Avengers. It does feel like that. It goes, his wife's having a third kid. Oh, but that doesn't matter. We'll skip that bit.
Yeah.
But I think I'd have to agree with you with Captain America. Well, for more reasons. Yeah,
I don't know if it's a bit obvious. I think.
I think it's trailer based. It could be trailer based.
Yeah, but Chris Evans he's confirmed that he's ending
exactly. But that's why I don't think
Avengers. Yeah, the next Avengers.
But that's just, I don't think they would do it then just because of that. I think it would just be too obvious for him to be killed off. No, it's just like because everybody expecting it wouldn't be. It's sort of a shock for people. As much as they want, I think it'd be upsetting to see him die and stuff, but I don't know. Is there meant to be another one after this? They haven't named it yet, so...
There's Is this not in there's Infinity War 1, Infinity War?
Well,
Those have
it
changed
was originally going to be two-part, but it is now two separate films with a I think it's some of the narrative that will come at the end of Infinity War will cross over, but apparently the film will be given its official title once Infinity War has come out. I think the only reason they haven't given the title yet is because, according to the Russo brothers, it will be a spoiler for what happens in Infinity War. So I just think, what are you actually going to put as a title? Avengers 4, Captain America's dead.
Yeah. It might be the New Avengers or something. It might literally just be they've all sort of kind of, Deadpool, and apparently there's meant to be, talking about Deadpool, and sorry, I just moved on a tangent there, but apparently there's meant to be a secret cameo in the new Deadpool film.
Yeah, I heard something about this, but
it could be Hugh Jackman. But literally Hugh Jackman as Hugh Jackman, not as Wolverine and stuff. So
they should have done that for the first one. I think that would have really set the pace. But then again, as it's now the second one, if X-Men does come over to the MCU, I don't think it's going to happen. But I mean, would you see Hugh Jackman coming back as Wolverine again?
No, I think Logan was his swan song. I think that was really good. I think ending on that was a good thing. He gets on quite well with Ryan Reynolds though, so maybe
cameo doesn't hurt.
Yeah. So yeah.
But then, I mean, there are two brilliant trailers. Like Infinity War, I don't know how many times I've watched it, but yeah, I actually had Moya doesn't. She doesn't like watching trailers. She thinks they spoil films. But yet, once she's been pestered enough by me, she ends up watching them and then literally does not shut up about them for days afterwards. She's like, "Oh, do you think it's going to be this? Or what do you think that person, or who's this?" Moya has this theory about Thanos. I can sort of see her point, but at the same time, I just don't. I think it's a bit far fetched. And if you remember in Guardians of the Galaxy 2, whenever Ego, Kurt Russell is like showing them about his big palace, and he's got these big white sort of egg things. They're kind of like giant TV screens, sort of explaining where he's come from. And there's a point where I think he meets another being for the first time, and it's like a little. I thought it was a girl. I thought it was like a little girl, but it's kind of like a little purple-skinned girl. Or Moya is pretty sure it's a boy. I can't really remember it that well, but she thinks that was possibly Thanos, and I was like, So this is where the questions of Thanos being a Titan is greater than the gods, which are sort of below Celestials and all that sort of thing. But again, I didn't really have a lot of knowledge of the sort of background of where Thanos is from. But the reason he's a Titan because he's actually from Titan. He's not, your sort of generic, greater than the gods sort of thing.
Yeah, but then there's a lot of comparisons with him and Darkseid from the DC universe, and you can see the similarities. And I think, slightly trailing off now, I think that was one of the big things about Justice League. They should have had Darkseid in it, because I think that would have got a lot more people excited. But then again, would it feel like they were ripping off the Avengers even more if they had their big bad show up in that film?
I am sad about the DC universe, just because I'm not sad because in that. No, I'm sad because it could have been better. I've liked all the films. I didn't think they were super shit. There were some of them that just, weren't the best, but it's just like I feel like they're not going to do any more, and that's going to upset me because I feel like they could maybe sort of, and they could maybe do better, and I don't. We want have them at least.
I was going to say we have at least 3 more films still to come. You've got Aquaman at the end of this year. You've got Shazam April next year.
Oh, I've seen some of the pictures for that.
Yeah, it doesn't look too bad. It might be fun. And then you've got Wonder Woman 2 at I think it's November next year, and it's got Kristen Wiig playing Cheetah.
Oh,
Oh
okay.
yeah, that's right.
Will they have? Do you reckon they'll do a Flashpoint?
Well, apparently they are making a Flashpoint film, and I don't know who's supposed to be making it at the moment, but at one point, Phil Lord and Christopher Miller are apparently going to be fronting that movie. But but apparently they're going to do a Flashpoint, and the rumors going around it will have Ben Affleck in it, but then after Flashpoint's finished, it'll be someone else's Batman, which I think is a stupid idea.
Yeah, well, it's the thing is, if Affleck wants to leave, and I can understand why he might want to because he just gets grief, and I honestly think he is one of the best Batman. I think he's an amazing Batman. He's just powerful.
Yeah, I thought he was fantastic. Yeah.
He is powerful, and he's just got a good, and I think he's just. Because he's Ben Affleck and he's just a good punching bag, people have given him shit, and I am that upsets me the most because I like Henry Cavill as Superman. I think he's a good Superman, and I think Ben Affleck as Batman is fucking amazing, and it'll upset me if you don't get those guys in a film again. And I think it's just sort of, it's just I think DC especially, it's easy to sort of just take the piss because Marvel are so good, so it's just easy. But they don't do themselves any favors by having some slightly mediocre films and stuff. I really wanted to love Batman versus Superman, but I kind of went, yeah, it was all right.
I think if you look back at it, if you look back at the 80s and like the early 90s, it was basically the opposite way around. DC knock it out of the park with like the first couple of Superman movies, the first few Batman films, and it was just like, these were the superhero films you had to watch. Marvel offered The Punisher, which had Dolph Lundgren, which was, do you know what? I've actually watched it recently, and it's not as bad as I remember it, but it's still pretty naff. And then they'd Howard the Duck as well.
Yeah, well, Dave Foy actually did an article for Geek Pride about this, about back in the day, Marvel had like literally DC, where all the movies were like Batman, and it was all about Batman and Superman. They had all the sort of kind of like, the first Superman, I think it won an Oscar. It won some Oscars and stuff like that, didn't it? The first.
I'm looking this up now.
Yeah. So like they had, all these sort of superhero films that were doing really well, and Marvel had like some really crappy Spider-Man and some really crappy Captain America and the Punisher.
The Captain America 90s films are so bad, but they're so fun if you actually watch them.
Yeah, and I think he did an article about it and stuff, and it's just how it's flipped, but I guess it could flip back again, so
yeah.
You mentioned Howard the Duck earlier on there, and like I would actually love to know back then how they sort of, because they've got all these really, huge sort of like superheroes that they can have really, really interesting stories with. I want to know how they actually decided. It's like, okay, we've got this superhero we go for, but let's go for the Duck. It's just like, it just seems like a really, really random choice of a film to make when you've got so many options that haven't been, sort of been taken. It's just, to me, now to be fair, like I absolutely love, that's one of my childhood favorites. So whenever Howard the Duck sort of turned up in at the end of Guardians of the Galaxy, I was just like, oh
no, that was fun. That was a fun
I really
cameo.
Does the woman in Howard the Duck sleep with him? Don't they have sex?
Yes.
Yeah.
Interspecies sex.
It's kind of like a Family Guy where Brian, just has
Brian.
Brian.
I kind of want to see that now. I want to see how the Duck dubbed with Brian from Family Guy.
Brian.
I think that would be the same.
You're drunk. Give me your keys.
There's a guy at my work called Brian. Every time he walks through, he's like, "Hello, Brian," and everyone just thinks it sounds really creepy.
Amazing. Right, okay. All right. Well, best leave it there actually, because we've been on for about an hour and 15. So yeah, Vanessa, anybody has anything else they want to talk about briefly before we go?
Just very quickly, I mentioned this to you, Matt, before we came on there. One of my favourite shows of my childhood, and even like the more recent series, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I've always loved. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for me has always been one of them heroes that have been quite easy to watch. They've been funny. They've been and some of the stories have actually been quite dark. If you look at the original comics as well, there's some. It's quite gritty. It's quite bloody. Now, through all the iterations, even the live action ones, I've said, okay, there is some good in amongst the bad. Nickelodeon have given the trailer for the new animated series they're doing, Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and in that 75 seconds, I feel like my childhood has died.
Do you know that the Turtles did a crossover with the Power Rangers at one point in time?
Yes, they did.
That's right.
Joe, I watched that, and I don't actually, because I hadn't watched Power Rangers for ages anyway, but I watched this on YouTube a few years ago because someone told me about it, and it's so bad. And they had some other random turtle with them, some female turtle called Venus de Milo.
Oh, okay.
That sounds familiar.
Which,
or maybe I'm thinking of Gummy de Milo from The Simpsons.
Oh yeah, the Gummy de Milo. Have you seen the video that's come out today with, it's a Power Rangers film where Tommy, the White Ranger's a bad guy?
Oh, he's the Green Ranger in it. He's the bad guy.
Is he the Green Ranger?
I think, but I've not actually seen the video, but I saw
photos.
Whatever. Yeah, exactly. It's sort of brought up earlier on.
Yeah. I'm not 100% sure if it's actually just a YouTube thing or if it's an actual film, but yeah, there's a video flying around Facebook with it on it. So
there's again, I don't know how much truth there is behind it, but one of these things that pops up on Facebook, and it's got like a history of loads of people who were in some shape, way, or form involved with Power Rangers, and not just like the original one, so there's like, I can't remember, was there Power Rangers Zeo or whatever? Yeah. But there's like, it's pretty much just sort of saying it's like a real cursed franchise, because like loads of people who've been involved in it have either died in some sort of nasty way, or have ended up in jail for like killing people and stuff like that. And it's just sort of like reading some of it, you're like, this is really dark stuff. Like, it's just for such a a lighthearted sort of program that was on for any of them. But random point.
Sounds like the Superman curse.
What?
You never heard of the Superman curse?
Nope.
It was years ago. They used to say that any actor that played Superman was either cursed to have a horrific injury or die. George Reeve was one of the first on-screen Superman. Apparently, his career had a massive tumble after playing the character, and I don't know exactly. I can't remember the exact details of his death, but apparently, it wasn't too long after doing that. Christopher Reeve, obviously, who played Superman, he's just a few years after finishing the role, he had the accident and then sadly passed away some years after. I was just about to say Brandon Routh as well, but it's not so much he died, it's just his career just tanked after doing two characters. But he's actually been quite good in the Legends of Tomorrow. Actually, I do quite enjoy his character.
I don't enjoy it, but Legends of Tomorrow is it's like I don't overly like Supergirl. And Legends of Tomorrow is sort of getting to that point where I'm just like, this is just a bit too over the top and sort of kitsch. And because I'm a history buff, them destroying history every week just sort of annoys me slightly. So I'm and Brendan Ralph is just this sort of kind of like, ooh, really always surprised and sort of kind of semi-happy and stuff that, the girl he falls in love with shagging somebody else, and he's like, oh, well, I'm a rich guy, so it's okay, and, I'm super smart. But yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay.
Way to summarize Legends of Tomorrow.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
Richard, don't give... Sorry.
All right. Okay, we'll leave it there. I'm going to see if Sea of Thieves has finished downloading. So do some piratical rumbustifications.
I might have a look at that as well. If not, end up playing PUBG on mobile again.
Yes. Well, if you go on the mobile again, let me know. I'll bounce in as well and stuff. I've got it on the PC. Don't have it on. I've got it on my phone. Don't have it on my Xbox, so I could download it actually. But yes,
I actually think I do have it on the PC as well, but I just don't think my graphics card is, or Dad's old graphics card is capable of sort of playing it very well.
I actually can't believe that graphics cards have gone up so much. The whole sort of what's it called? The whole Bitcoin, the bubble,
cryptocurrency mining.
Yeah.
Well, but they're saying, I was watching the thing today, and they're saying it's not a bubble. It's like, cryptocurrencies have been around since, well, I think Bitcoin's been around since like 2009 or something like that, and it's, it has gradually increased over the years and everything like that. But I mean, I don't have enough. I know that there's a guy in my work who has got thousands behind Bitcoin, and he sits and watches that stuff, go up and down all the time. And sometimes he'll come in and he'll sort of have a bit of a smile on his face, and then other times he comes in and he just literally looks like he wants to hang himself. But yeah, I mean, at this time, in just because it sort of affects me, is like I really want to get like a new. Like a new gaming computer or a new graphics card, and I can't because of all these bastards.
Do you know what? And it's completely random, and we'll end after this. But I was looking. I was looking at code on YouTube because I'm doing some stuff in work, and I was looking for stuff on YouTube, and this advert came up, and it's called Bunny. It's called Bunny. Bunny Coin or something like that. I think it's called Bunny Coin or Bunny Bucks or something along those lines. And it's basically cryptocurrency for people who want to buy porn. And it's just ridiculous because it's got a proper serious video, like take this shit seriously, and there's rabbits, one with a ball gag in its mouth and one doing all this other stuff, and it's basically how you can buy this and you can pay for discrete things, and it's basically for dudes to buy porn with. And it's just
but is that not what cryptocurrencies were for in the first place?
Well, yeah, exactly.
That's all crypto. It's all.
This is more specific, I guess. This is sort of kind of just for porn. Yeah.
How did you find this, Matt?
I don't know. Well, according to my girlfriend, nobody watches porn. It's it's just there you go. But there you go.
It's natural.
Yeah. There it is. Aaron B. Wood has just jumped in and said, "Hey." And goodbye, Aaron B. Wood, because we're going to say hello and goodbye, because we've been on for about an hour and 20 now, and I think everybody's sick and tired of our ramblings. So yeah, thank you very much to everybody who has joined in the conversation, said hello, and asked questions, etc. Thanks to John Joe for being John Joe.
Thank you.
My brother for being Dave Foy tonight.
Thank you.
And myself for being myself. Thanks very much, everybody, and good night.
Cheers, guys.
Good night.